Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, as you can see, we have an unboxing to do, and it should be pretty exciting because even though I don't know exactly what is in it, I can see from the sender's name here that it's from You Make Robots. So this is a package from Ricky of You Make Robots. I'm actually expecting a couple things from him, and I'm not sure what is inside this one, so let's open it up and take a look. So let's see what we have here. Here is a little red package, and here is a gray package, a gray flat package, and a cable of some sort. Empty box. Okay, so let's see what we have in these packages now. Let's take a look at this one. And I'm just going to get a sharper knife here. Oh, look at that. This is the Nextduino. Now, some of you may be familiar with Ricky of You Make Robots. He makes these devices which allow you to load games and programs through the audio port as if they were being loaded from a tape, but this is much more reliable because I guess it conditions the signal so that you don't have to fiddle with the volume and the tone, and it should be a much more reliable loading experience than loading a game off tape. And you can see this one is actually patterned after a ZX Spectrum Next computer, which is really cool. So let's take a look at it here. Wow, the finish is really nice on this. It's really cool. It looks almost like a real ZX Spectrum Next computer. It has a screen here along with some buttons on the bottom to operate the device. And I'm just going to pull off this little screen protector, which is always really satisfying. And this version actually has a larger screen than the other similar devices that he sells, and you can order this device and you can choose what size screen you want to come with it. So I chose the larger screen size, and I think it looks really cool. I'm anxious to give this a try. Now, I'm not sure exactly which cables I need to make this work with various different computers, because it does work with other computers other than just the Spectrum computers or the Spectrum Next computer. Even though it is patterned after the ZX Spectrum Next, it can also work with other vintage and retro computers. Now let's take a look at the sides of this. You can see there, looks like here there is a SD card slot. And on the back side here, I guess it's the back side. On the back side here we have two ports. Obviously, one of them is going to be the port that connects this to my computer, so I can feed the signal from this device into the computer. But I'm not sure what that smaller port is. It may be a port to allow the computer to pause the program as it's running for multi-load games. I'm not sure. I know this thing does handle multi-load games, which is one of the special features that this does. And so hopefully I'll be able to try that out somehow. I've never loaded a multi-part game as far as I can remember. And it looks like here we have a power port for the power supply. And then there also is a micro USB port here. Yep, there's a micro USB port here, which can also be used for power. Now, why does it have two power ports? The explanation from Ricky that he told me about that was that the two different ports use two different voltages, I believe, because I think some ULA chips inside some vintage computers are, well, what he refers to as deaf. So when you try to load a game from an audio tape onto or into a vintage computer where the ULA chip is, I guess, damaged or starting to wear out, then it might require a higher voltage in order to be able to read the program signal as it's coming through the audio wire from this thing. At least that's my understanding. So this gives you the option to choose what type of power you want to supply to it, and you can supply it a higher voltage, I believe, in case your particular vintage computer requires a bit higher voltage in order to allow it to hear the audio signals coming from this device. So it looks like that is all the ports that are on it. There is just the SD card slot, the ports that we looked at the back, and then nothing on the other two sides. And then on the back, it is blank as well. That is the unboxing for this cool looking Nextduino device, and let's see what else it came with. Okay, so here we have a cable that Ricky was so nice to include with it. And here there is a micro USB cable. So it has USB-A on this side and micro USB on this side. And we also have a mono audio cable, which I will use to get the program from the Nextduino into my computer. And let's see what's in this package. So here we have what looks like an audio cassette, and it says Universal Cassette Adapter on it there. And what this is for is if you're trying to load a game into a computer that doesn't have an audio input jack, but it has a built-in tape player, like I believe the Spectrum Plus 2 and Plus 3, for example, they have built-in tape players. So I'm assuming they don't have an audio jack that you can use to plug in an audio cable to. So in that case, you could use a device like this to connect the Nextduino to your built-in audio cassette player in your computer. I don't actually have a computer that has a built-in audio cassette player, and I guess I don't really need this thing, but I wasn't really sure what it was when I ordered it. I just wanted to make sure I got it in case I needed it. So I guess if I ever buy a Plus 2 or a Plus 3 Speccy computer, or any other one that has a built-in tape deck, then I'm ready to go. So there we go. We have our unboxing of our cool Nextduino, and next let's go ahead and plug it in and try it out and see if we can get this thing to work. Okay, so I've got my Maxduino here now, and I'm ready to go ahead and hook it up and test it out. And Ricky was actually generous enough to provide me with an SD card, because I probably wouldn't know which is the proper one to buy. You need to get a certain, I think, quality of SD card, which I'll explain a bit later when we take a look at the instructions. But for now, I'm just going to pop in the SD card. And it is a micro SD card. And I'll just pop it into the side here. Oh, and good. Luckily, it's a pop in, pop out style of SD card slot. And, well, I'm going to have to take the SD card out again in a moment when I put some games on it. But for now, let's just power it up with the SD card in the device and see what it shows on the screen. So there we can see it says 0 bytes empty. So I have no files on the SD card yet, so I'm guessing that's why it's saying empty. And it says ID BLK 3850 M off % off. So I'm not sure what all that means, but now let's go ahead and take a look at the instructions that I found online for this device, which are right here. So you can see it has a lot of instructions. At the top there it says purchase a micro SD card, not a cheap one, not a class 10. Class 10 is too fast. and then it says to format it to FAT32. Download your favorite games and put them on the SD card. And then it talks about TOSEC archive. I don't know what that is, but it says there are many thousands of retro computer games from the past, so I guess that is someplace I can download games from. And there it talks about the different file formats that is supported by this Nextduino device. It has ZX80, ZX81, which are .p or .tap, Spectrum, TZX and TAP files, MSX files, Amstrad, BBC Micro, Acorn, Oric, Dragon 32, and it probably supports even more computers than that. Okay, so it says, please note the above is not limited, and the digital tape device will run a version of the Maxduino firmware that is more suited to your retro computer to support these formats. Games may reside in directories on the microSD card. Okay, so that's cool. And it says for directories, don't go more than 3 levels deep and try to not use very long folder names. Okay, I don't think I'll be using any directories, so I'm not too worried about that. And then it talks about the controls at the bottom there. It says to use the up and down arrows to move up and down in the list. If you see a file you want to load, press the play key. If you see a directory you want to move into, press the play key. To move back out of the folder, press the stop key. The play key acts as a pause key too. If you want to switch on motor control or change the baud rate, press the menu key M. If the device has one, you can reset the device with the reboot button, which is the circle. Okay, so it looks pretty intuitive, pretty self-explanatory. The controls here, I'll just show you what the controls look like here on the actual device. So here are the up and down arrow keys for selecting a file once I have some files loaded. Here is the play key to play a file or pause it. Here's the stop key, which I guess stops the file and exits out of folders or directories. And here's the menu button and the reset button. So let's first go ahead and press the reset button and see what happens. Okay, so that does reset the device. Reset. Okay, cool. Let's see what options we have in the menu. Menu version. Okay, so now in the menu, let's try the up and down arrows. So here I can select the baud rate, the motor control, TSCX ZXP VEFSW. No idea what that means. Skip block, maybe. Don't know what that means. And I guess that's it. So we can go back down. Version. Okay, so let's go to baud rate, and then I'll press the play key here. Baud rate 1200. So I don't know what baud rate I should use actually. Let's see what baud rates they have. 2400, 3150, 3600, 3850 with an asterisk next to it for some reason. And I guess that's it. 20. So I'm not sure what baud rate I should be using. Oh, I guess the asterisk means that's what the current baud rate is set to, I assume, because it shows 3850 at the bottom. And I think this M off, I'm guessing that means motor control is off. I'm not sure what the motor control is. I'm guessing it might be this little round port on the back here. Again, I have no idea though, so I could be completely wrong. Oh, upside down. There. So I think I'll leave the baud rate at 3850, and let's see if there's any other options I might want to change. Version, let's see what that does. Okay, so there's the version. I'll escape out of that. Baud rate, motor control. Let's press play there and see what happens. So it's now off. Now it's on. Yeah, you can see the setting at the bottom here changes when I turn that motor control off and on. I'm going to leave it off for now and then exit out. And I have no idea what this is, but let's go in there and see what it does. Off, on. Okay, so this is an off-on setting, but I don't know what this does. You can see this display over here changes when I press this button, off and on. I don't remember what it was initially. off or on. So I guess I'll leave it off, whatever it is. And then I'll exit back out here. And we can see that the SD card is empty. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and put some games onto the SD card, and we'll try loading one up into my ZX Spectrum Next. So stick around and we're going to do that right now. All right, so I've got some programs loaded onto the SD card in my Nextduino device now, and we're going to go ahead and load them from the Nextduino into my Speccy Next computer. And doesn't this look cool? It looks like a little mini Speccy Next, which is obviously the whole idea behind this design, but I think it looks really cool, and it's really neat to design it in this way. So I think Ricky is really imaginative to actually do such a good job in designing this and coming up with a design to make it fit so perfectly with the Speccy Next. So what I want to do now is connect up these two devices. So in order to transfer the program, I believe I need an audio cable, which I'm going to plug into this round port here. Okay, and the other end I have already plugged into my Speccy Next. So now is the exciting part, or one of the exciting parts, where we go ahead and power it on. And there's no power button on here from what I can see, so I'm just going to power it on by plugging in the power cord, and we'll see what it says on the screen. All right, so let's go ahead and power it on now. Okay, it's booting up. Reset. System volume 1. Okay, now we have some scrolling action going on there. Volume information. And I guess what do we want to press here? Maybe the up and down buttons. Oh, okay. So these are the programs that I loaded in. So the first program is called Return to Earth, Alternate TZX. So that's a TZX file. The next one is a TAP file called Poker. That's a poker game. And then the third program is a demo called Funky128.tzx. So I guess that is for the 128K spectrum. So let's go ahead and try to load these into the Speccy Next now. And maybe we'll try this one first, Funky128.tzx. Okay, so I want to try and show you both the screen on the Nextduino while it's loading, as well as the screen from the Speccy Next. So I'll switch over my cameras now, and I'll see if I can get that set up, and then we'll come back and we'll try to load this program. Okay, so it turns out I do need a different cable. I need a cable that splits the stereo port on the ZX Spectrum Next into two inputs, or one input and one output, because the single 3.5mm jack that's on the Speccy Next, it is used for both saving and loading to cassette tape. So I need a splitter that will split a stereo plug into two separate jacks. But I don't have that, but I have something that will work just as good. I have a stereo cable, and on the other end of the cable, I'm plugging it into this adapter cable that I have that splits it into two RCA plugs. So I'll just plug one end into the adapter cable, and then these two RCA plugs, I just need an adapter that will allow me to connect one of these plugs to the mono cable that is coming out of my Nextduino device. So I don't think I have an adapter that will allow me to connect them securely, but I can just hold these connections in place for now just to test this device. So we're going to go ahead and do that now, and hopefully we'll be able to actually load one of these programs. Okay, so here we go. I've got the wires all connected up now to my Speccy Next from my Nextduino, and I'll go down and select the tape load option in my Next right here. Okay, and I'm going to select 128K mode because this program is for 128K Speccy. You can see on the right there we're going to be trying to load a program called Funky128.tzx. So I'll go ahead and press 1 on my Speccy Next. Alright, so now it's trying to load a program. So now I'll just go over to my Nextduino and I'll press the play button here. And there, now it's playing, and you can hear it playing. And now we get some stripes on the border. Okay, so you can see here, it's counting up the percentage of the load progress, and here is I believe this is a seconds counter just for the time. And so far so good. It looks like, okay, so it's found the program Techno 128. I'll just turn off the sound so we don't need to hear the sound while it's loading, but I will turn the sound on again when it's almost finished loading, because this demo I believe is a sound demo. So it's getting close to the end now. I'll go ahead and turn the sound back on. And there we go. So it's working. Now let's go ahead and try to load another program. Tape loader. And these programs I believe are 16K programs. So I'll just select 48K mode by pressing number 4 here on my Speccy Next. And I guess now it's loading, so I'm going to look for another program. Okay, how about this one? Poker.tap. And we'll press play. Okay. Poker. Found poker. Okay, so this one looks like it's working as well so far. Turn the sound off until it loads. We don't want to hear the loading sounds. At least I don't. Maybe you guys enjoy hearing it. I'm sure some of you retro community members really have a nostalgia for that loading sound, as do I, but it doesn't mean I want to hear it all the time. So this is a short program as well. We'll just wait for it to load up here. And this is really cool. This is the first time I've actually loaded a TAP file now into the Speccy Next. Or any Speccy for that matter, because this is the only Speccy that I own. 100%. Okay, I'll turn the sound back on just in case there is sound. I'm not sure if there is or not. So that's really cool. This device loads the program for you. And I know you can load programs directly from the SD card on the Speccy Next, but this is just such a cool way to do it. Okay, how much do I want to bet? I have £100. I'll bet £50. So I have an ace, a 3, a queen, a 2, and a jack. Use numbers 1 to 5 to discard cards, number 6 to deal, and Q to recall. So I'll discard number 2, which is the 3, and number 4, oh, it does have sound, which is the 2, and then number 6 to deal. Oh, 9, 10, how much? You have won £50. How did I do that? 9, 10, jack, queen, ace. Okay, well, this program is working. Let's go ahead and try the last program now. The last program I want to try loading is called Return to Earth, and this should be a TZX file as well. Yep, and this I believe is a text adventure. So we'll go down to tape loader again. This should be, I believe, a 16K program, so I'm going to select number 4 for 48K mode. Alright, it's trying to load. Now I'll go ahead and press the play button here. And there we go. It found it. Okay, I'll just turn off the sound again while this one loads. And one big advantage of loading games that are TZX or TAP files using a device such as this Nextduino, and of course you don't have to use the Nextduino with a Speccy Next. You can use it with a regular Speccy as well, or actually any device that can load the file types that this is compatible with. So, like I was saying, the main advantage of using this device over a tape recorder or a tape player is that this is much more reliable. It provides a much more constant signal. It provides a more reliable signal. And it's just a really cool retro way to load programs. And this one is almost done. There we go, Return to Earth. Copyright C. Evans, 1982. After failing to make contact with Earth Orbital Station 1, you effect a safe manual docking. On entry, you find it is deserted and the control room destroyed. You must explore the station and find some way to alert Earth of your predicament. Beware. Many of the rooms are identical. There is extensive damage and signs of alien intruders. Uh-oh. Press any key. You are in the control room. Only a steel cabinet remains undamaged. 4 corridors lead off. So let's see if we can open the cabinet. Open cabinet. You can't. You are in the control room. Only a steel cabinet remains undamaged. 4 corridors lead off. Let's go east. Pardon? You are in the control room. Okay. East. Okay. You have reached the outer edge of the station. 3 corridors lead off. There is also a pistol. Let's look. Look. You have reached the outer edge. Okay. Let's get the pistol. Get pistol. And let me guess, it wants take pistol. Oh, I got the pistol. Okay, well, we can see the game is working, so let's go back and switch the screens over now, and we'll do a final wrap-up. So there we go. I was able to load 3 programs into the Speccy Next using this cool Nextduino device. It's a tape loading option that I think is really awesome alternative to using normal tape decks, which are known to be unreliable, but this should be very reliable compared to a tape player. And I know the Speccy Next can load these files already automatically just by loading them off the SD card in the actual Speccy Next, but this is a lot more fun way to do it, and you don't have to go to the trouble of taking out the SD card in your Speccy Next. If you just want to leave that alone, you can now load your TZX and TAP files using cool modern retro device known as the Nextduino. It also looks really cool. It looks just like the Speccy Next. This is awesome. Okay, so that's it for today. Okay, so what about if you want to load games into a different computer that's not a Speccy or a Speccy Next? Let's say, for example, you have an Aquarius Plus computer you want to load games into. Or you might even have an original Aquarius computer from back in the day. Well, today we're going to load programs into both of these computers, both the original Aquarius and the modern updated Aquarius Plus computer, and it's going to be pretty cool, so stick around. We're going to do that right now. Okay, so of course, in order to load games from the Nextduino device into our Aquarius computer here, we're going to need the original cassette cable that's designed for the Aquarius, which in this case is right here. It has a round DIN connector on the end, and then on the other end is 2 mono audio plugs right here, and I've just labeled them as load and save so that I know which cable I'm supposed to plug into the Nextduino. And of course I need to plug in the load cable because I'm loading a program. So let me do that now. I'll just plug in my load cable into the Nextduino device, and I'll plug the other end into my Aquarius. So now you can see that I have my Nextduino device connected to my original Aquarius computer, and we're going to go ahead and load a game now. So what we want to do is use a conversion tool, and so we're going to head and search for it by typing in the search bar here. We're going to search for CAQ 2-Wave 2 TZX, just like this, and we'll press enter. And here you can see there is a GitHub result that comes up, which is Ricky's GitHub. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And here you can see there are 3 zip files. And down here there is a description of what this conversion tool does. It says Mattel Aquarius CAQ file converter. Ricky L. Kasim, hopefully I'm pronouncing that close to correctly, built the GUI known as CAC2Wave to TZX. Now multiple CAC files can be converted. It says, note, select 11025 on the wave quality if you plan to also convert to TZX. And note, wave is inverted and will not work on emulator. We'll look at fixing later, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. So this is the program we want right here, CAC2Wave to TZX. And up here are the files that we want to load. And so I'm just going to take the most recent, or the highest version, which is 1.0.3.zip. And I already went ahead and downloaded that and installed it. And when you do that, it ends up giving you this CAC2Wave to TZX icon on your desktop. So I'll go ahead and double click on that. And here is the window that opens. So here you can see it's very simple. Here's an icon for selecting which files you want to convert. Select CAC files, it says. This icon allows you to select the output folder where you want the output TZX files to go. And this is the button to convert the files. And remember, in the instructions it said to use wave quality 11025, so that's what we're going to do. And in the instructions it also mentioned about using a square wave, which is already selected, so I'm going to leave that selected as it is. But then remember that it mentioned something about the wave file being inverted and not being able to use with emulators. Well, I see now there is an invert function selection that we can choose also. So I'm guessing that this invert function re-inverts the wave file so that it can be used with emulators. Although I haven't actually tried that, I'm guessing that's what it does. So I think that's really cool. And one last thing we need to do here is turn on the TZX file selection. So when we do the conversion process, we want the output to also give us TZX files in addition to wave files. So that's why we need to enable this TZX file selection. Okay, so let's go ahead and select which CAC files we want to convert. So I'll go ahead and click this Select CAC Files icon. So here I've got some CAC files which I took from a folder in the emulator that you can freely download on the internet, and it looks like these are files from Roy Templeman's games. So I think these are maybe sample files, possibly from the 10-liner code challenge that he enters. I'm not sure, but it looks like that's what they are. And so here we have 5 different files we can convert. And so I'm just going to select all of them because this conversion tool allows us to convert multiple files at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of these files, and I'll select open here. And now I'm going to choose which output folder I want these output TZX files to be saved in. So here I'm just going to select this output folder that I created previously called Roy Files for Roy Templeman, since they're his games. And then I put that under another folder called TZX Files, but of course you can choose whatever folder you want. So I'll go ahead and click OK now. And now you can see down here it's showing me the output folder is the one that I just selected. C Aquarius TZX Files Roy Files. Okay, so now we are ready to go. All we have to do is click the convert button here, but let's go ahead and watch the process as it happens. So I'm going to go ahead and open that Roy folder first. Okay, so here is the output folder I selected, and now I'll go back to my tool and I'll go ahead and click convert. And there we go. We can see it's created a bunch of output files in our folder. And now here's a pop-up that says click OK to clean up, and it's going to remove some of these extra files that are not needed. So I'll click OK. And it's cleaned up this folder a bit by removing some extra files. Click OK again, and we are done. So now here you can see we have some wave files that were output, as well as the TZX files that we can now load onto our micro SD card and put into our Nextduino device. So let's go ahead and we'll try to load in one of these games. Alright, so here we have our Aquarius computer turned on now, and here's the screen for the Nextduino. And you can see I've set up a folder called Aquarius, and inside there I have another folder I've created called Templeman, because they're Roy Templeman's games. And so I'll go ahead and select that by pressing the play button here. And here are the games that I converted just now. So there's one called Cave, Nav, Invader, ROM Robots, Astro, Bomb C11. So this is the bomb catcher game. So let's go ahead and try to load this one. Now I'll go to my Aquarius computer and press return. Then I'll type C load to load a cassette program and return. Now it's telling me to press play on the tape player and then press return to start. So I'm going to press return on the keyboard first. And now the computer is listening for a program. So let's go ahead now and press play on the Nextduino. And there you can see it's found Bomb Catcher and it's loading it. Gives us the progress nicely here, 59, 60%, 9 seconds, which is really cool. And there you go, we're done. This was 17,176 bytes. I'm not sure if that is accurate in terms of bytes for the program, or if that's after it's converted into a TZX file. It seems like maybe it's a high number of bytes for this small program. I'm not sure, but we can see over here on our Aquarius screen it says OK, which means it loaded it properly. And we could go ahead and list it just to confirm the program is there. So there's the program. Now let's go ahead and run the program. And there we go. We have Roy's Bomb Catcher program running, which I'm not sure how to play exactly, but there you can see it did load successfully and it is working. So it's really cool. We can load programs into Aquarius computers as well. Now let's go ahead and try to load a program into a different Aquarius computer. Now for connecting up to an Aquarius Plus computer, of course we no longer have to use the round DIN connector style cable that we used with our original Aquarius computer, because the Aquarius Plus computer has ports on the side for saving, loading, as well as for connecting the printer. Now these ports don't normally come labeled, I just labeled them myself, but we should be able to load up a program into the Aquarius Plus computer. So stick around, we're going to go ahead and do that right now. So there we go, we have our Aquarius Plus powered on now, and I'll go ahead and press enter. Alright, so now let's go ahead and load Bomb Catcher into the Aquarius Plus. C load, enter, press return to start, and we'll go ahead and press play on our Nextduino device here. And there we go, it's playing. It's found Bomb Catcher. It's counting up the percentage and the time. And we'll just wait for it to load. And there we go. We have an OK over on our Aquarius Plus screen. And now let's go ahead and run it from our Aquarius Plus. Run. And there we go. Now we have our Bomb Catcher program running on our Aquarius Plus, just as it did on the, oops, almost caught a bomb, just as we did on the original Aquarius from back in the day. So that's pretty cool. I'm just going to reset the Aquarius now. Okay, and I'll find another program that I've loaded up here. So here is a sample program called sound.tzx, which I've converted obviously from a CAC file. And let's go ahead and play this one. Enter, C load, enter, enter. Now play on our Nextduino device. Playing, found sound 1. And there we go, it's loaded. Now let's go ahead and run this one. Cool, it plays some sound. Try it again. Oops. Okay, so that one obviously takes advantage of the AY sound chips in the Aquarius Plus. And now we've loaded programs into both the original Aquarius and the Aquarius Plus from the Nextduino. As always, I want to thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time. So long.